Hey, welcome back to our YouTube Ministries podcast. We're here in Kingsland, Texas at the podcast location. It seems like it's been a while since we've been here.
It does. It's been forever.
It has been.
Life has been lifing.
It has been. It's been forever. Or it's been as long as you've seen our last podcast, which may have been just last week.
Maybe. Or it might be forever.
It may be. So YouTube Ministries, a little bit about us. We're super small, but we're doing great things. We're super small, but we're doing big things. The other day, somebody asked if we could get a couple of TVs in the prison. I'm like, TVs? Nobody in prison needs to watch TV. But anyway, so come to find out, we're going to get them. We're going to get a couple of TVs in some faith-based dorms, and they're non-smart TVs. I'm learning some things this week. There's smart TVs and there's not smart TVs.
Who doesn't want a smart TV?
They don't at the prison. You got to get a dumb TV.
Oh my gosh.
You got to get a dumb TV.
We're going back
We're going
to the
backwards.
1900s.
Hey, whatever, just as long as it shows up. So we're going to do that, and I think God's going to open some doors through that.
Yeah.
And, things are pretty good with that. So, thanks for you that donate money to us, and, because where all the money goes, it just goes back out to help people. We've got some hygiene things coming up pretty soon, and we also found out this week that we are going to get into yet another prison, a men's prison, with the podcast.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that. Right? I mean, we're trying to get into podcast on the tablet, and that hasn't really opened up yet for us. But it's funny, now we get to bring our podcast studio in some of the prisons. So maybe that's,
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
That is super amazing.
I know. I'm still stoked about it because it's one of those things that I thought for sure. One thing I thought for sure would happen is we'd get on Pando. And one thing I thought would never happen is we'd be taking our podcast thing to the prison system.
Like the whole setup.
Yeah, the whole setup. I mean, I'm super stoked
Even
about
this
that.
cactus. No?
Well, okay. We can bring the cactus. We can bring the cactus. We are not bringing the turkey with us. I don't know how that's going to look on the paperwork.
A stuffed turkey.
We're bringing a stuffed turkey with us.
We have this many cameras, this many microphones, and a turkey.
And I know. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. People like, I don't know what that turkey means. I thought it was just like a turkey. I didn't realize it was a full-blown bird. Yeah, that's what it is. So anyway, you know what? It's been a couple weeks since we've been here because we've had some, Kim was out of town and I'm fixing to be out of town here in a couple weeks, but it is what it is. So, thanks for joining us, and we are continuing. I'm trying to stay positive on stuff. We've been doing I've been doing my 10% with my Bible and my worship. And, the thing about it is I've been actually not listening to worship songs as much as I've been actually listening to sermons and in my Bible.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. I like to turn on sermons. And, I have a couple favorites that I like to listen to. But that's what I like to do. I like to listen to sermons, and it gives you a different perspective on the word. The way you read it, and then you hear all these different sermons, and then you can go back and God gives you a new lesson for yourself in it. And so I like to do that. It makes me feel like I'm actually taking in solid food, not just the milk.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing about it is when you listen to other people do their sermons, you're like, I never thought of it that way. And then there's sometimes where I'm thinking, yeah, you might have stretched that just a little bit too far. like now you're fishing for stuff.
Yeah, I mean, some can get like that.
Some can get like that. And then I've been staying away from, because if you get on YouTube, there's always the people that oh, you can't listen to this, or you can't listen to this group, or or they'll cut other people down, and I'm just, so I've been staying away from that, because if you're not careful, that will taint you. I'm not saying some of it's not true. I just don't want to be tainted.
Yeah.
Because I really don't know people.
Yeah.
Right. So, we could talk about somebody that I don't even know because of things that you've heard on social media, but that doesn't mean it's true. So anyway, one more thing I want to tell you that's just been great for me in the last couple weeks is we've been taking the podcast into prison. So I've been able to take the podcast over to Woodman. I know you ladies get tired of me calling you out, not calling you out, but giving you a shout out.
Hi, Woodman.
Why Woodman? Right? And I know you like that because I could picture you just like right now smiling in the not the utility room, because I called it a utility room the last time. It's the multi-purpose room.
Yeah, get it right,
I
sir.
know, I got to get it right. So anyway, so I've been so encouraged just because you guys have been encouraging. And then the last time we did the podcast and we brought Don't Worry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was so cool because you know what, Kim, you were talking about, and I know you said this on another podcast, but it didn't. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Or I was paying attention, but sometimes I'm not. You know,
Gosh.
I don't. That didn't sound very good, but sometimes. Yeah, whatever. I just stuck my foot in my mouth.
No, you're fine.
It's a good thing it wasn't one of those sandals because those are
Hey,
hideous.
these are cool sandals.
Okay.
Everyone's wearing these.
Yeah, I'm not wearing those. Yeah, whatever. So anyway, so you said something about you didn't want to wind up in the indigent cemetery.
Yeah, the indigent
Potters.
cemetery.
The Potters. Isn't that what they call it? The Potters Cemetery or something?
I don't even know the name of it. I
Okay.
just always called it the indigent cemetery.
So anyway, you said in the last podcast, you said to take an inventory. Well, you know what? We did. And there was a lot of girls in there that had the same worry about going there because they had nobody. And I had no clue about that. Anyway, it was an emotional time in Woodman, right? And watching that podcast, I mean, I was kind of emotional. And then after you girls know, of Woodman girls, because if you're from the San Saba unit, you're thinking, what's up? But you never call us out. Well, here you are. Shout out to you guys.
Shout out.
And then maybe the guys too. Maybe there's guys in there that would never admit that.
Yeah.
But then they don't really want to end up going, not that it matters because Jesus knows where you are.
Yeah.
But still, it's a worry. It's a fear. It's something that's concerning you. It's, it's an emotion that you have. But anyway, so we prayed. We went around the room and prayed. And, if you wanted to pray, you could. And if you felt uncomfortable, because, sometimes people are new and they just don't really want to pray out loud or they're just not comfortable with it. Anyway, so we went around, and at the end, it was super cool. It was super cool. You could feel the Holy Spirit. I'm telling you, you're a rock star over there.
Oh,
and one of these days you'll realize that. And then I'll be just like, who am I?
No.
Then people are like, who is that old man over there? That's the janitor.
He'll
Or the
never be
custodian.
like that.
Yeah, it will be. So we went around, and then when I prayed, right, I prayed, and then I was thinking, because I had thought of this earlier in the day about that podcast was Don't Worry, and then I played that song as I was going somewhere. I was playing Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Yeah.
Don't
worry.
be happy, right?
Don't worry.
Yeah. I know I don't have the hymn in my head right now, but when I got done praying, I started to do that. Don't worry, be happy, and then everybody everybody chimed in on it. So we all left there just like giant smiles on our face.
I thought that was amazing.
It was amazing. I'm just telling you, man. I'm glad that God had opened that door over there for that. So anyway, that was super encouraging. Super encouraging.
I can't wait to go. I always say, like, it's a different feeling whenever you leave prison, right? And then you go back in and you can leave again. But it's it's just a phenomenal feeling whenever you go in and you feel like you're making a purpose and making a difference or making some kind of impact or just being a beacon of hope for others. And whenever I go in there and then as I'm leaving, I always have that moment on my drive home where I'm just like, God, thank you so much for letting me experience that.
Yeah.
Because those women are so, like, you forget when you get out, your life gets so busy and you forget how humbled so many women are in there. You forget. And then it just keeps me doing what we do and being so close to prison ministry. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me grateful. It keeps me humbled. It keeps it in front of my face of where I've come from and how there is still such a need for people in there. People need people like us to go in there. And I'm not saying like we're just the most amazing people ever, but we are. But
well,
no.
I am amazing.
But
I'm Mr. Amazing.
People inside, not inmates, not offenders, humans.
Humans.
they
Yes.
need people like us who care about them and who love them. You know what I mean? So I can't wait to see you, Woodman girls.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, it's going to be pretty crazy. And don't worry, I'll just stand back, watch the whole thing because it'll be entertaining for me too. It
You're
will
like
be.
the preacher.
I
So
don't
you
think
can't.
so. I don't think so. So something else that was encouraging too, because there's such a different contrast between the men's prison and the women's prison. It's just a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, not just because it's guys and girls, but because it's guys and girls. It's totally different.
Well, women are really emotional.
Right. So then there's this guy over there. I'm going to give you a shout out, JJ.
Hi, JJ.
Yeah, you'll like JJ. So JJ's the chaplain helper who's really organizing the whole ordeal. He's
good.
he's fantastic at it. So
Great.
all my classes, he's the one that gets them lined up. He's the one that goes and gets the people.
Then we should get along because that's what I did.
You would get along with JJ. So they're starting to do a inmate service-led church service, which I think is fantastic.
Yes.
This Saturday, I'm going to be there and JJ and I are going to kind of do the sermon together, right? Which I kind of gave him what I was going to talk about, and then that was all. Like sometimes when I give you, I go, we're going to talk about this, and then you're like, that's all you give me? Yeah, because then God works out the rest of it.
Yeah, he does.
But because over there at Woodman, the home group on Fridays or the Bible study, I'm kind of doing the same thing over there at the men's prison, except it's a sobriety dorm, and it's totally different. So I was trying to hope that the women's prison that you'd have the same experience at the men's prison. So I was kind of talking to JJ about it, and he's just like, Tom, well, just because people aren't talking doesn't mean they're not listening. And he said, we just had a baptism service the other day, and like 5 of the guys or 6 of the guys that are in this thing just got baptized. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He said, yeah, so you just keep on showing up and you keep doing your deal, right? Because you just never know what people are, talking or doing. Yeah. So we were going to do some cornhole out there in the gym. Anyway, there wasn't enough keys to figure it all out. And then, there was some sort of count time issue, and how it goes. So anyway, so I went into the pod. Right, they got the P1 to P2 pod. Or anyway, they had a couch over there. These guys would welcome me in like I was just at their house watching the game, which is hilarious. Right, so I'm sitting down there on the couch, and
they have a couch.
They have a couch because they're in they're in a special dorm to try to get it together.
Bougie.
Right, they actually had 2 TVs too. They had one where the game was on. They had one where the movie was on.
Well, yeah, we have that in regular prison.
Yeah. So anyway. So, yeah, they're inviting me in just like I was one of the guys.
Did they offer you a drink and a spread?
They had a little refrigerator there, too, but I didn't take anything. No, I wasn't going to do that. And then I was thinking about cracking some jokes, and I thought, nah, I better not. I don't really know these guys all that well. Anyway, the guy's like, just go ahead and say it. I'm like, okay. I said, I'd like to stay here, but I wish that this toilet had a heated seat. Anyway, they started laughing. The guy said, oh, it's a heated seat just as long as you get there as soon as the next guy gets off of it. I'm like, oh, that's funny. That's funny.
I mean, he's not wrong.
He is not wrong. But that's the heated seat in the prison system.
Yeah.
You better just make sure it doesn't get cold. You got somebody's out. You done? Yeah, boom. Ah, it's still warm. I know, it's bizarre.
It's not wrong. He's not wrong.
It's prison stuff, right? So anyway, so that was super encouraging. And you know what? They made me feel like I was at home. And like I said, these guys are getting baptized and they're trying to change their lives. And you guys can do it. You guys can make it.
Good job, guys.
Good job, right?
Yeah, y'all are great.
Yeah. Well, they're not all that. No, they are.
They are all that.
And
a bag of chips.
And a bag of chips? Wow.
Yeah, isn't that the saying? All that in a bag of chips.
I don't think it's the saying, but maybe so.
I'm not with the times.
Anyway, so that's enough about what's going on with me. So, it's been pretty exciting. But what about you, Kim? Because I know you were out of town last week, so... What's up with that?
I went to Disney World.
I
went to Disney World. 2 of my coworkers and we went to Disney World. I have never experienced anything like that in my life. I've never flown. I've never been to a big theme park like that, and done all the fancy whining and dining. And I didn't whine. I watered. I sparkling watered. But I dined, and it was, man, I met my childhood Disney character.
Oh, really?
Goofy. I met Goofy. Oh my god. I was so excited. I was like a fangirl. We did this thing where you go to this restaurant. It's called character dining. So it's it was like African food. It was really spicy, so I couldn't really partake too much in it. So I ate like, vegetables and stuff. But while you're dining, Mickey and Goofy and Daisy Duck and Donald Duck, they like walk through the aisles and they dance and they come into your table and they talk to you. Well, not talk, they do the gestures, And Goofy came up to me. I got a picture with all of them.
Okay.
But like Goofy came up to me and I just went fangirl. I was so excited. I was so excited.
What did you do? Show everybody.
I had a Goofy shirt on, and so I was like, and I like pointed to my shirt, and there's a dance in the Goofy movie that I used to watch when I was a kid, where they like do this dance, and they're like this, and they just do this silly dance, and he did the dance for me.
He knew what it was.
He knew what it was. He did the dance. He better know what it was. He's
will,
Goofy.
I know.
Yeah, he was
I
real.
know.
Goofy is real.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
It's the same Goofy.
it's the same Goofy.
Yeah.
He just looks smaller on the TV.
Okay.
No, no, just joking. I don't really think he's a real cartoon, guys.
All right. Well, but that's cool.
No, so it was just, I didn't come from that life, where you get that. And so a lot of me, even though I had to like use my adult money to pay for it all myself, whatever, I got to experience it was very magical. Even as an adult, it was so magical. And it was awesome to know that God has provided that for me. He still cares about that little girl inside that, I know you've heard like stuff about your inner child. He still cares about that little girl inside that never got to live that life. I had to grow up extremely fast in addiction and,
When you were in Lockhart, though, they didn't take you to Disney World?
No, Lockhart didn't take me to Disney World. How dare you, Lockhart?
I know it.
How dare you? No, so it was, there were so many moments when I, after the hustle and the bustle of the day, I would be laying in my bed because we all shared a room, but we had a big room. We had a big suite. And so we all had our own beds and I'd hear my friends sleeping and I could not sleep. And so I'd have my Bible app open and I'd just be reading and I would just be talking to God. And I mean, there were just so many moments where I was just like, God, thank you so much, and it was super emotional for me, but it was super awesome. It was so fun. And what the unfortunate part is that I did get sick. I was already getting sick, but leading up to it, and I just didn't realize it. But I was sick the entire trip, but I didn't let it stop me. I was like, no, you've paid for this and you don't want to ruin the trip for other people and you're going to do it. And so I did. I had to take some breaks. There were some moments where I had to like, okay, I'll just sit here. But all in all, it was a really good trip.
Something that you probably wouldn't have thought you would have done 5 years ago.
I definitely never would have thought that I would be doing that 5 years ago. That was never, honestly, it was never even a thought in my mind to ever go, even 8 months ago. Right? It wasn't like we were always talking about it and I was just always too scared because of like, I'm still under supervision. I'm still on parole for many years. And so I never even thought to even ask if I could go. I never thought it would be okay. And even though I am very good on parole, like I'm the one that probably gets on their nerves because I'm reminding them of all the rules, you know what I mean? But whenever I got the okay and I got the actual, I went through all this stuff. I have to go take all these extra drug tests and give all this information. And I got my travel permit. I was just like, this is amazing, because I'm not the person that people ever trusted in life. And so I still get this overwhelming sense of like amazement and gratitude and just thankfulness that people trust me as much as they do, because a lot of people trust me and it's just insane. And so I'm learning, God is like giving me like these little moments where I can like learn like how good of a person he's made me, and
is making you.
Making me. I'm still growing. But so if anybody is ever sitting behind those walls thinking that all these amazing things are out of reach for you because you're you and you've done what you did, that is not true. I mean, I have been the lowest of the low and I have been responsible for someone losing a life, and I have been estranged from my kid, like not a great mother, and just I've done it all, and that's not me. And God opens doors, and he has a beautiful future for you. And it's not just about just making sure you have somewhere to live. It's about having fun. He wants you to enjoy life and have fun. Like tomorrow I'm going to go stay in San Antonio and go to a concert. Me and my brother, a band me and my brother used to listen to all the time. So like he is always giving me opportunities to just take life in and enjoy it,
Right. But you still have to work. You still got to pay your bills.
I do. I have to work. I do have to pay bills. I have to budget, Sometimes I have to go without shopping and whatever.
Sometimes you got to go for the cheapest sandals they got.
These were I got these at Disney World at a shop at Disney Springs, and they were $50.
Okay.
So these are not
cheap. Do they
cheap.
say Disneyland on them?
No, these don't. My sunglasses do though.
Okay.
That I got.
All right. I won't
but
say anything else
another
about
amazing thing is that like I was in a place to where I could bring back certain people, like my daughter. I was able. She's into this Japanese stuff, right? She's into Japanese stuff. So they have in Epcot, it's like around the world, and so they have Japanese Disney. So I was able to bring her back a bunch of souvenirs, and I was able to get. I had started a little tradition with my life mom, Katie. I bought her a Pandora bracelet for her birthday one year, and so I just always pick up charms that. So I was able to, just to know that I was able to do something for someone else.
Huh.
Whenever I didn't bring you something.
I was going to say, where's your podcast partner? Didn't get Jack. That figures.
You get my presents all the time.
That figures. What I get you. That's hilarious. That's funny.
Well, they don't have dead animals there.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
They would have had a little statue of Mickey.
Would you have wanted a statue of Mickey?
Probably not, but I would have taken it and put it on this table.
You want a bow and arrow or something to shoot your animals with.
I got a spear.
Yeah, see, I'm scared to bring my live animal on the set because you'll kill it.
I'm not going to kill it.
So that was great. That was great. And there were some other things that came out afterwards, and but I'm just so overwhelmed with all the good that's happened that the bad parts are not even.
Yeah, but you know what? That's life.
That is life.
That's life. You know what? Because we live in a fallen world. This place is
That is true.
It's. There's been crazy stuff happening on the news. It's bizarre.
Oh my gosh, the Charlie Kirk situation.
It's so heartbreaking.
And I loved watching his stuff because he loved God.
Yeah.
And he lived in reality about the Lord. That is something crazy that it is
and
a fallen
that lady
world.
on the subway.
Yes.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's just heartbreaking, right? One thing about it though is one day we're not going to live here anymore. And I will be so happy to go home.
Yeah.
But back to your going to Disney World. How many times have I said in the prison system, when you get out of here, go someplace.
Yeah.
Save some money. Go to the Grand Canyon. Go to Disney World. Go someplace. And then you think, because when we first met, if I would have because when I said we were going to do stuff together later on, you're just like, yeah, whatever. And if I would have said, oh yeah, there'll be a time we'll be doing stuff together and won't be able to show up for a week because you'll be at Disney World, you'd have just like,
someone's holding a grudge.
You're just like, what is that guy on? Right?
No.
But you know what the thing about it is, God's blessing you, right? But you still have to go through the steps. You still have to be obedient.
And that's that's the most important thing. Like I have to make sure I put out there make sure that all the information is out there. It's not that I sit back and I just get all this stuff and I don't have to do anything for it. Like I'm committed, I am committed to my walk. I'm committed to getting the word out and spreading hope. This podcast and as much as prison ministry will allow me to be in there, I'm, committed to it. I'm committed to what I do with the other ministry, teaching Bible studies and like, it's not like, oh, you just go in there with a Bible study. Like I have to read and I have to study and I have to write it out and I have to, know what I'm talking about and be ready for, their responses. And like, you have to, it's not just like, oh, we're going to pick a scripture and we're just going to go off that. No, we have to study, we have to pour ourselves into it. And I do that. Even with, my crazy schedule, I do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then outside of, the ministry stuff, I go to work. I pour myself into school. I'm in college, and so I have to juggle a lot,
Yeah.
I have bills. So for me to be able to do that, I had to budget, and I have to forget my impulsiveness. And there is a lot of things that go into it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so easy to do whenever you get God to guide you in it,
Yeah. And you get disciplined.
You do. You get,
You just
and
get
the more
disciplined.
discipline that you have, the better life gets.
Yeah.
I've noticed. And
Mhm.
I have to tithe. I have to give my money
Yeah.
back.
No doubt.
So while you're budgeting, you're also trying to give your money back. And I know that it says, like, if you in Micah, it says, or Malachi, not Micah, Malachi, it says if you give your 10% to the Lord, He'll open the windows of heaven. But that doesn't always mean like, oh, you're going to get that money back. Sometimes it means something else.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's opportunity to do something like this.
Mhm.
It's not always monetary. So sometimes you're probably not getting the money back, but you're getting something better back.
You better.
Something of more value.
Yeah.
So, I'm budgeting and stuff for things, but I'm still having to give back my money. I've told you I do some things. I do some things.
I do some things.
I give some money stuff.
But then you're not giving because you get something in return. You're giving
no,
because
you
you're
give
just
it
being,
because that belongs to the Lord.
and it helps you with your faith.
It does.
There's no doubt about that. So did you have a scripture
I
for
did.
today, or
I did.
we're going to jump into something else?
My scripture was, I've just gotten in the habit of always making sure I have my scriptures with me. So it's Psalms 27:14. Psalms 27 is one of my favorite Psalms. But it says, wait patiently for the Lord. And this is why I chose it. Be brave and be courageous. Yes, wait patiently for the Lord. Not to get too personal, I have something going on health-wise, and it's kind of like I'm in the unknown right now. I just know that I'm kind of sick. And
I'm kind of sick.
I'm kind of sick.
Okay.
I
I'm
don't
kind of sick and I'm kind of not.
Yeah, obviously I'm kind of not,
Yeah.
but there's just something going on internally, and don't really know what it is yet. I have to see a specialist, but the be brave and wait patiently, because you want answers now. You just want to know what it is. Like, that's where I'm at. I just want to know what it is. Just tell me what it is and tell me what I want to hear.
What are you talking about? I'm not even going there. Sorry. Let's not go there.
Yeah, I was trying not to say it.
I know. Don't say it. It's ridiculous.
Anyways, so be brave and be courageous is like what I'm really like sticking with right now, because I got hit with some stuff and it could be scary, and I don't have time for all that.
Yeah.
I don't have time for all the scary. So that was my scripture. I could really go negative with it, but I'm not. I'm going to be super positive about it.
Yeah, but you go negative. We've been talking about this for weeks or months. You go negative and then it works out, and then you wish, why did I go negative?
Yeah.
Why not just
I
go
definitely
positive?
That's why I haven't even told anybody or anything, because I'm like, I don't want to put all that negativity out there because people will be negative about it.
Yeah, people would be negative.
Like, oh, what was you?
Yeah. So anyway, now you're thinking, what is it? Well, we're not going to tell you.
Yeah, I'm going to cut that.
But you just pray for her.
I'm going to cut that other part out.
What part? Cut that out. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, because then people start freaking out with that. So anyway. So there's been a lot of positive things. Okay. So the scripture that we're going to be into today doesn't really have a blip word.
Why?
Okay, because...
You're slacking?
No, I'm not slacking, because the word that we would use wouldn't really have a sign to it.
Tell me the word.
It would be problem. Yeah, see, what's the problem? How do you have a problem sign thing?
Problem.
You know what I'm saying? How would you do that?
Like when you're stressed and you're pinching your nose.
No, I don't know that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not totally sure we could do that. I know, because the last time we did this, ours was like this, and then we missed it so many times, right? It's hard for me to pay attention to what I'm trying to do.
Well, then whoever's watching, whenever you're in the prison and people are watching this podcast in the prison, you let them make their own blip word. See how many signs you see.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Report back to me.
Yeah, you can figure it out. It's going to be a problem. Because you know what? We have problems, but it all depends on how we're facing those.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna do some of that today. And we can do it right now. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it. So what are we doing? We're going into chow time?
Chow time!
Eat.
My gosh.
But I kind of like it.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's
All right.
fun.
It's fun. Chow time.
Chow time.
I don't know because one of the prisons, Woodman's on lockdown this week. So hopefully they're going to be off tomorrow.
Oh, you know what they're not enjoying right now? Chow time.
Oh, to get to Johnny?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Johnnies. Wow. That's crazy. So for you girls or for you, everybody doesn't know what a Johnny is. It's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but not peanut butter and jelly like you think. It's already mixed up, and I think it's pink.
And it's just a big blob in the middle of a piece of bread with another piece of bread smashed on it.
Yeah. It's
And
like
it's
you
not
can't even
spread
spread it
out.
out.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't.
What's up with that?
And then you get like these meat sandwiches, and ooh, I don't think it's real meat.
I'm sure it isn't. It's probably pork.
I think they like put something and then they pour water on it, and
Oh, really?
I don't know, but that's what it looks like.
It comes in about this big. It goes through a wall. It's like chicken fried steak.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. That is hilarious. All right, well, let's move in on this. We're going to go to 1 Samuel 17. And you know what? I'm all against the series because I thought I'd never be able to do a series, but I'm going to do a series. I'm thinking about a series, but I'm not going to tell you what the series is because I'm not that organized with it yet. But we're going to go to 1 Samuel 17.
I don't do series.
I don't do series. Okay, so what's another word for series?
1 Samuel. Well, it depends. 1 Samuel 17, right?
1 Samuel 17.
So if it's like 3, if it's 3, it could be a trilogy. If it's like 3 lessons in your series.
Okay.
If it's more than that, it could be like a saga or like a canon.
A saga?
A saga.
I don't know. I may have to find out what that actually means first before I say it. Okay, so we're going to go into the story about David and Goliath, but a little bit different than normal because we're never going to get to the David and Goliath part.
Okay.
And then I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to tie it back to all the scriptures we've been talking about lately. Well, why not? Because you know what? It all goes together.
So is this the series you're talking about, or you're going to make another series?
I'm continuing with the last series.
Oh, it's a saga.
It's a saga. Okay. Whatever it is, we're going to do some of this. And I'm going to read this. Oh, another little something that happened to me. I was at the gym the other day, and the lady that owns the gym said something to me, and I said, oh, yeah, it's Tuesday. And she said, it's not Tuesday, it's Thursday. And I'm like, what? And I got my days mixed up. And I thought, OMG, this is fantastic because I'm retiring. And now I don't even know what day it is.
My God.
I've made it. Every day is a Saturday. Even though I still have a few things I need to do. But I thought, I've made it. I don't know what day it is. It's
Lucky
fantastic. Because most of the time you would think, oh my gosh, you're losing it. No, I was thrilled to death that I didn't know what day it was. Even though I'm still having withdrawals.
Is that retirement or is that old age?
It's probably old age.
Oh, okay.
But I'm still having a hard time with the transition because I'm so used to going to work for so many years. So now, like on Monday through Friday, I have a little bit of guilt when I'm not jumping up and going to work, doing other things. But I'm changing my schedule around because once I'm committed, I'm committed. But now that I'm not, now I'm committed to other things, but the schedule it's readjusting. I'm readjusting. So anyway, that was good news for me. For you, probably you cut that out. That's fine.
No,
one of these days
we're going to keep that.
Yeah, and 30 years from now,
I'm just going to be like amazed by it because I don't get an everyday Saturday life.
I know you don't, but I do.
Okay.
Right now I'm happy because I've put a lot of time in.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Okay. That's fine. Don't. You know something we're going to do? We're going to go to 1 Samuel 17, and we're going to go over some scriptures. And then maybe next week we're either going to continue in Samuel, like 18, or we're going to go back to 16. So we're going to mix it up a little bit.
Okay, so
All right.
Are we going to start at verse 1?
There's a lot of reading, so some of it, just bear with me because my reading abilities, are pretty amazing. But
Because he's retired now.
because I'm retired,
He's retired from reading.
I have always been retired from that. So the Philistines gathered their forces for war at Sokol in Judah and camped between Soko and Zekiah. Some of these names are really difficult. Anyway, Saul and the men of Israel gathered and camped in the valley of Elam, Then they lined up for battle formation to face the Philistines. The Philistines were standing on one hill, and the Israelites were standing on the other hill with a ravine between them. So you can picture that.
Yeah.
2 hills with a valley, right? Then a champion named Goliath from Gath came out from the Philistine camp. He was 9 feet 9 inches tall. Just a little guy. And other people said he
I
was
wish I had
7.
a tape measure so we'd be like, this is 9 feet.
Well, it's almost to the top of the ceiling. It's tall.
Okay, so he was big.
He was big and not skinny. Like usually when somebody's that tall, they're super, super skinny.
Yes.
But anyway, and he wore a bronze helmet, a bronze scale armor that weighed 125 pounds.
Okay, so he was like big.
He was big.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know some of you guys at San Saba, you can't even bench press 135 pounds. No, just kidding. Just joking. I meant the girls at Woodman. There was a bronze armor on his shin and a bronze sword that swung between his shoulders. His spear shaft was like a weaver's beam, and the iron point of his spear weighed 15 pounds. So,
Just the point.
Just the point. Here, hand me my stick.
How many animals have you killed with that?
I haven't killed any yet. So this is somebody made this for me. It's a arrowhead. This is 45 pounds. No, this is this is like hardly any weight whatsoever. But could you imagine 15 pounds? It'd be like this when you're carrying it around.
Just the point.
Just the point.
That's insane.
That is insane.
That was a big guy.
I know. Everybody's like, wow, look at that. That's a cool arrowhead. Okay. In addition, his shield bearer was walking in front of him. He stood and shouted to the Israelite battle formations. Why do you come out to line up in battle formation? He asked them. Am I not a Philistine and you are not a servant of Saul? Choose one of your men and have him come down against me. If he wins a fight against me and kills me, we will be your servants. But if I win against him and kill him, then you will be our servants and serve us. Verse 10, it says, Then the Philistine said, I defile the ranks of Israel today. Send me a man so we can fight each other. Then Saul and all Israel heard these words from the Philistine. They lost their courage and were terrified. And you're just thinking, what a bunch of big babies. But then I'm thinking, you know what? This guy's 9 feet tall. And he's like not a skinny dude. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been around people that are big, like for us, if you're standing beside like an NFL lineman, 6'8", 300 pounds, 350, those guys are big and they're intimidating.
Do you ever see guys like that in the men's prison?
Maybe not that big, but there are some guys in the men's prison that are intimidating. There's no doubt about that.
Scary.
A little bit scary. So if they're coming at you, I could see, but these guys are warriors. So, but it's intimidating. It would be intimidating. So anyway, a couple things that I wanted to go over with this. Okay. Just with that part of it. Okay. So the Israelites, they are looking at the problem through the eyes of the problem.
Yes, I agree.
So what are the problems that we're having, right? I got to quit looking at the problem through the eyes of the problem. I got to start looking at the problem through the eyes of the Lord. I got to look at it how God's looking at it instead of how the problem's looking at it. And maybe my whole life I've been looking at it through the problem. And I've been trying to think, what does that look like? So in this particular case, the problem is the guy's 9 feet tall. Mm-hmm. So then looking at the problem, and he's big. So then the problem you're looking at is, how am I going to defeat this guy? Because there's no way I'm stronger than this guy. I can't even pick up his spear. This is ridiculous. And he just wants one person to come out. And then the Israelites back in those days, I guess they weren't really all that tall. Who's the tallest guy? If you look back in the scriptures, a chapter or two, it's Saul, the king. Saul, the king, is the tallest guy there because it says that he is one head above everybody else. But Saul's short compared to this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, how many times in our lives, in our problems, that I'm looking at it through that. Like, and I know that I probably should have given you some heads up, because this is not the easiest thing to come off on the fly with.
Yeah.
But if let's say you're going to be up for parole. Not parole. You're up for parole.
Yeah, parole.
Yeah. So, you know that it's coming, and you go to the parole officer, not the parole officer, the probation. What is it in prison? I get those two mixed up.
It's parole.
Parole. Okay, so you go by the parole, and then they give you either a set off or you maybe you get to go home, or you get to go someplace else. So now the problem is, maybe it's that week, or maybe it's the 2 weeks or whatever, when you go to talk to the parole officer, and then you have all the time to wait before you get the answer. And then how do you look at that problem? You're looking at it through the prison system. You're looking at it through other inmates telling you, well, you should have done this, or you should have done that.
Yeah, the jailhouse lawyers.
Yeah, right?
I always used to say everybody's a parole attorney, jailhouse parole attorney, because it's like they all know the answers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny, and the answers are always different.
Yeah.
And that's maybe not a good illustration, but
no, it is, because like with the giant, the Philistine giant, it is unknown what's going to happen, right? But everybody already knows, like, oh, this is going to happen. We're going to get crushed if any of us go out there. So like the problem is unknown, but still in everyone's mind, they have their own concept of what's going to happen. It's kind of like that whenever you're in the big waiting season, right? And sometimes it's like 3 to 6 months, it just depending on like your case and like how the parole board vote on you, the voting panel. But you don't know unless you have a parole attorney that is like really good and is like gonna keep you or your family in the know like the entire time. You have no idea. You don't have no idea. And that's the big giant, right? That big waiting thing. So like everyone has their own concept. Like they think about all the good that they've done. Like, oh, I've done all these classes. I've done this. So I look good on paper, so I know I'm going to make it. And then they don't make it. Or it's, oh, I don't know. I've only been here for a year. So I probably, and I'm back. You hear this a lot, and I'm back. So I'm probably not going to make it. And then they make it.
Yeah.
So,
or you've been up to 3 or 4 or 5 times.
Or,
and
like
you
my
keep getting
time,
set-offs.
yeah, like I had like 7 or 8 set-offs before I got like a good answer, because I had to wait a long time before I could come up for parole. So, so my thing is I was waiting or whatever, and I was just like, I don't care. Whatever. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to think about it. And so my big Philistine giant was the indifference, and how much I probably lost out on some really good blessings because I was so indifferent about it, because I was just like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Like, I'm not really worried about it, because indifference could be a big thing too. It's not a positive thing in your life. So yeah, I think you're onto something there. I think that's a good illustration.
Yeah. And there may be other illustrations.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just haven't come up with one
like
yet.
The case, like when you get a case.
When you get a case.
Whenever you are dealing with jailhouse bullying, that's a real thing.
That's true.
Oh
my gosh, let's talk about that for a minute, because you know what? Sometimes there is the bullying.
You have the big Philistines in there,
and sometimes
and you know what?
Right.
Sometimes it's not even the biggest, baddest person on the block. Sometimes it's the prettiest ones in there. Physically, right? Physically, they're just, and sometimes it's the oldest too. Yeah, for me.
You got to be careful about those old people.
They'll hit you
with the walker.
Some of them, y'all get mean when y'all get old.
What are you looking at me for?
I can say that because I'm only 37. I mean, you start owning spears. No, but like we do as humans, and we get old and we get a lot of life behind us, we get a little ornery.
Yeah.
Because we get stuck in our ways a little bit. And our we're from a different generation, so like our mindsets are different. And then the new generation, I mean, the newer generation gets on my nerves. Like, can you imagine me talking about that later on when I'm 70? Like,
Yeah.
I'd probably be ornery too. So yeah, so sometimes it's the Philistine giants in there maybe are like 145 pounds
Yeah.
and short.
Yeah. Or maybe it's not so much about
Or maybe it's the officers.
Or maybe it's the officers. Or maybe it's what you've heard about people,
Yeah.
right? Maybe it's that.
I think the Philistine giants in our lives take all shapes and sizes for sure.
Yeah. But the thing about it is, okay, yeah. Let me move on a little
Let's
bit, because
move on.
we might come back to this. Okay. So when the problem becomes too big, do you lose courage and get terrified or worried? Because what did they do? The Philistine, what's crazy about this is the Philistine comes out and starts to dictate what we're going to do. Israel's, they're not dictating what we're going to do. The Philistine comes out and says, we're going to do this and this and this and this and this. Why do we even let the enemy dictate our situation?
And they used intimidation as tact as
And
well. They already knew they were big. They already knew they were going to be scared.
Not all of them, but the one guy.
Yeah.
He uses intimidation. But he's the one telling everybody, here's what we're going to do. You send one person out. Why didn't somebody say, no, that's not what we're going to do?
Yeah.
We're going to all come out here. We're going to all bull rush you.
We're all going to fight.
Yeah, we're all going to fight. But nobody does that. And I think to myself, how many times in my life am I letting the enemy dictate the scenario?
That's true.
Why am I letting the enemy dictate the scenario?
Yep.
And then, okay, so I'm going back to some of the other scriptures that we've been talking about. Seek, right? And you will find, right? That's not the enemy dictating it. That's you dictating it, or that's you asking the Lord, right? What was the other one? Lay my life down as a living sacrifice. Well, if I'm laying my life down as a living sacrifice, it shouldn't matter how big the guy is, because it doesn't really matter anymore. Perspective.
Changing your perspective about the situation.
Right? These guys' perspective was he's too big.
Yeah.
Now they're afraid. And we're letting him dictate the rules here.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one we have? Seek, and then his ways aren't my ways, right? There's one more in there.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Anyway, so I think David had all those, but these other guys didn't, because they were looking at the problem. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago too. We got to quit looking at the problem, how big the problem is, because God is way bigger than any problem that we have, and he can handle it. But what happens is Satan brings something out to get your insecurities, because these guys started to think they were smaller. They were never going to be able to do it. They started to put themselves like they can't do it, instead of trusting in the Lord.
Good stuff.
I know, but I mean, here it is. And that's what's happened to them. And then they all get terrified. All of them. I mean, how many is there? I mean, they got an army. I mean, it's a lot of people. All of them get terrified. Yeah. Not one guy says, let's stand up for him.
And you know what? Later? That is the big, I'm going to call it an epidemic in prison. Like whenever your first illustration was the pearl thing. From before I ever went there, the negative response to parole was already there. It was already put in place. It's just this epidemic of everybody's feelings coming from this one situation, right? And I'm sure it was like that with the army. Like there's a couple people in the crowd that felt fear and intimidation from the big scary guy, and so then that's catching. It's like if I come in here with a negative attitude, you're gonna catch it, and you're gonna be like, oh, whenever I've been off a little bit, you're like, are you okay? And it's because it's catching my energy or vibe or whatever. So it's like that. So I imagine in my head, like, the big guy comes out into the field. He's that big old sausage finger and, do this,
he's got these giant arms.
Big old 15-pound spearhead, and, there's some guys in the front and there's, she's like, oh, God. And then the guy's like, oh, he's nervous. I'm nervous. And it's just kind of flowing back.
Yeah.
So
did you see the size of that guy?
Yeah. So I think that it's a really good way of putting it, right? Maybe it's That's where it comes from, you know?
Yeah. And then you know what? Let's take this back to the prison system because you know what? There's times to where you could go into a prison and it seems like nobody's following the Lord.
Yeah.
Like you could just feel like it's just dark. And everybody's like, not everybody, but maybe everybody's afraid to step up because they're afraid what everybody else is going to think.
Yeah.
Or it's monumental. And you start to look at it through the fear of Satan's got you.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at it like somebody needs to stand up, somebody needs to be courageous, somebody needs to lay their life down, somebody needs to say, man, I'm following Jesus no matter what.
Someone's got to be the first one to say that they're no longer living in hopelessness.
Somebody has to be.
Because that's what I always feel is that whenever it's dark like that, everyone's just hopeless because they're usually, you know, they're in a place where they don't really think that there's anything else, you know? It's easy to start thinking like that in there. So,
yeah, then your whole dorm is that way.
Yeah, it's hard.
Even in
it's
faith-based dorms.
And then when you start following, right, you start following God, you're that one person that starts following and being real loud about it, about following, you know. There's some negative that, you know, like you're not the cool kid anymore.
Yeah.
And you're not the most liked and you're not, you know, it's a different path. And when you're in prison, sometimes you are just trying to fit into the lifestyle of it so that you can make it.
Right. Because then what you're doing is you're being just what the enemy wants you to be.
Yeah.
You're cowering down.
We do that.
Sometimes you think it's being strong, but it's not. You're being weak.
Yeah.
And then everybody's being weak because everybody's afraid of what everybody else is going to be thinking.
Yeah.
Let's just do a little bit more because this is going to wind up being a series because this makes sense.
It's a saga.
I don't know. Saga doesn't sound really all that good. Does it?
Yeah.
Okay, it does.
Good.
All right. Let me read a little bit more. Right. So they lost their courage and were terrified. Not just lost their courage, but they were terrified. Terrified about serving the Lord. No, they were terrified about the enemy. But guess what? Maybe we're terrified about our enemy too, and our enemy's keeping us from serving the Lord, just like what they were doing. So I want to go down to verse 16. Every morning and evening for 40 days, the Philistine came forward and took his stand. Twice a day. Now, if that guy was 9 foot tall and said, "What's up, guys?" You know, then you would have like, "Whoa!" They would have got.
There's me out there. What's up?
I know. They probably would have got their courage back. But the guy's like, "Hey, what's going on?" Right? So anyway, he take a stand. One day, Jesse had told his son David, "Take this half." Jesse is David's dad.
Yes.
And Jesse had 7 other sons, I believe, or maybe 8. I think he had 8 sons. So he had 7 other sons, and some of them were in battle. So every morning the Philistine would come out, and he took a stand. One day Jesse told his son David, "Take this half bushel of roasted grain along with these 10 loaves of bread for your brothers and hurry to their camp." So the brothers are at the camp in the Israelite army. "And also take these portions of cheese to the field commander." Like, that's hilarious. You know what David is? He's the first Uber driver.
DoorDash.
He's the DoorDash guy.
He's a dasher.
He didn't know it, man. Well, that's the way they got it. If I was going to start a DoorDash thing, I'd call it David's. David's DoorDash.
David's DoorDash.
I'm bringing cheese.
Stop it.
I mean, you know, you're bringing stuff to these people that are fighting. You're thinking, bring them some meat. Bring them some good stuff. You know, like, here's some bread and here's some cheese.
Yeah, the stuff that's going to make you all sluggish and heavy. I want to go to sleep after a roll. You know what I mean? Eat some rolls.
I know, but you're thinking they're going to bring up some, you know, some
protein.
Some protein, yeah. Anyway, maybe that's just weird. Check on the welfare of your brothers and bring a confirmation from them. They are with Saul and all the men of Israel in the valley of Elam fighting with the Philistines. So David got up early in the morning, left the flock with someone to keep it, loaded up, and set out as Jesse had instructed him. He arrived at the perimeter of the camp as the army was marching out to its battle formation, shouting their battle cry. Israel and the Philistines lined up in battle formation facing each other. David left the supplies in the care of the quartermaster and ran to the battle line. When he arrived, he asked his brothers how they were. While he was speaking with them, suddenly the champion named Goliath, the Philistine from Gath, came forward from the Philistine battle line and shouted his usual words, which David heard. Mm-hmm. When all Israel men saw Goliath, they retreated from him terrified. So now David gets to see when he goes to the battle with his cheese and his bread, which he left with the other guy. But when he goes out to the front lines, he sees Goliath come, and then he sees all the army terrified.
He probably felt all of it too.
He probably just looking around, because I know the rest of this story.
Yeah.
But how do you feel when you go from another prison where there's like Jesus is there, and then you get to a place where nobody wants to talk about Jesus because everybody's terrified? What are you gonna do?
I did that.
Right?
I did that. I went from a place where, because I'll say it, Lockhart, whenever I was there for sure, had really good church, and everyone was there, and I was in the ministry work, so I was super close, and I went to a place where the chaplain was not very nice, and you rarely ever got to go. I had to go to a safe P unit, and so I had it beat in my head that I was an addict. I've been sober for 12 years, dude. You know what I mean? I had already went through a lot of motions and a lot of learning, and I knew without a doubt I was never going back. I knew without a doubt I was going to serve the Lord. I knew, but that place had me second guessing to the point where I begged for them to take my parole answer. I know that sounds so crazy, but it broke me down because it's a treatment facility, so they're used to dealing with people that come off the streets too, and they beat it in my head that I was an addict, and I was always going to be an addict, and that's a disease, and that was always, whenever I got out of there, like that's when the real test is, and you never know if you're really that strong. And God, we couldn't even refer to God as God publicly in the dorm groups. We had to say our higher power, and I was always the one that kind of got in trouble a little bit because I was like, my higher power is God.
Yeah.
God, and it was not very. It was frowned upon in there, and so like it was not the best place.
Well, you could see that, and then sometimes you're at a prison where things are going good spiritually, and then you go home,
and then you get busy.
And maybe your enemy now has become the busyness, and now you're not serving the Lord, and now you're something else is going on.
I went through that too.
And if you're not careful, right, next thing you know, it's hard to go back because.
I went through that too, where like you're almost too busy to. It's like you don't think about it. Like you get so busy, and then before you know it, weeks has passed, and you're like, "Oh my God, when was the last time I picked up my Bible?"
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I went through that too.
Yeah.
That's why I started putting the Bible apps on my phone and stuff.
That's good. But then the thing about it, then there's other people like, "Oh, you don't need to go to church, and you don't need to do this, and you don't need to do that."
I don't need to go to church to find God.
Yeah.
God can meet me where I'm at. No, but we need a fellowship with fellow believers.
There's no doubt about that. Anyway, so let's stop right there.
Okay.
Let's stop right there. So, let's. You want to go first today with the encouraging, because I really like to do this.
Yeah.
You want to go?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
If you would like me to.
Well, usually I go first, and then this way you can go first, and I say, "Wow, how am I going to follow that?"
I'm not. No, it's not like that. We are not in competition.
We're not. No.
We might be.
But can we stop there? I think we can.
I think. Have you got your point across with where you're trying to get?
I think that we could stop there. That if you're not careful, other people, the enemy, you got to quit letting the enemy dictate the battle.
Mm-hmm.
And when other people are terrified, somebody's got to stand up. Somebody's got to have some faith.
Somebody has to do it. Someone's got to do it.
Somebody has to do it.
Why not be you?
And then we're going to talk about more of it this next week about, the next couple of weeks, because it all goes.
Because it's a saga.
It's a saga. It's a saga. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so, one of the biggest things, I always like to give positive stuff and things that I've most recently or currently going through. And, I had a lot of good things happen to me here lately. That amazing trip, whatever. Don't think that your past, mistakes you've made, where you've come from, your upbringing, how bad life has gotten before, how dark life has gotten, how dark it may seem now. There is a good God who wants to give you so much. And it goes way beyond of just having a roof over your head and food in your stomach. He wants to give you laughter, and he wants to give you the fun stuff in life. And he has created some fun stuff. He wants to give you the beauty, and, you know, like, nature is so beautiful out there in Florida. But he wants to give you all of this. All of this is a big gift from him. You know, he flooded the earth and he still brought it back, knowing that we were going to inhabit it one day. So then he sent his son so that we could live a life here. Be grateful for that. It is a beautiful gift. And just let God come into your life and take you to the places that you never would have imagined that you would ever go, because I promise you, he will. And there's so much that he wants to show you. And it might not be big to other people, but it'll be big to you. And that's all that will matter in that moment. Like, it will be big to you. So just keep fighting the good fight, and keep on with your faith, and keep on making the good decisions when everyone else around you is not. And who cares if someone laughs at you because you're a follower of Christ, and because you're choosing to not cuss, because you're choosing to walk in a better life, because you're choosing to not judge, and you're choosing not to get into the bullying crowds. Who cares? You're sitting behind those walls because God has set you apart, and he has set you apart as holy, and he has a really good plan for you, a good expected end. And it's worth it. It is so worth it.
No doubt about it.
No doubt.
You know, in this particular story, your enemy's always twice a day in your ear.
Yeah.
Or 3 times. Or he's in your ear all the time, telling you about how you can't conquer, how you're never going to be able to make it, how you're just this and that. And you start to get terrified in it instead of just trusting the Lord. You have to learn how to trust the Lord. And you know what? I know that when Jesus was pursuing me, it was a tough ordeal to turn it over to him.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember it took me a while, but I remember that I did turn it over to him, and I trusted him as my savior. Now, it took me a while for him to become the Lord of my life, but he has become that. So I just want to encourage you today that, there's a lot of people standing up. And, you know, it's just like when I was saying about the San Saba with JJ. Sometimes I'm thinking I'm not making a difference. Sometimes I'm thinking this and that. And I'm letting Satan in my ear dictate stuff. And then really sometimes all you have to do is be faithful, because God is doing stuff behind the scenes that you have no clue about. And God's doing stuff behind the scenes here that you know, if you know the story, you know what's going on. But in your life, you may not know the end of the story yet, but God is doing great things behind the scenes. So quit letting the enemy dictate your battle. Let the Lord dictate your battle. Don't worry, I'm not going to hit you. This is like my staff. You know, the thing about it too is we have the Word of God, right?
Yeah.
We have the Word of God, and it's as sharp as a 2-edged sword. I know it. Anyway, so for you girls and you guys that are in a tough spot in the prison system, thanks for being the David. Thanks for being the one that are listening to the negative stuff, but you're not going backwards. Because you know what? You may think that you're not making a difference, but you are making a difference, because people are watching you, and people are listening to you, and they're being inspired by you. They may never say it to you, but they are, and God is working through you to reach them, which is just absolutely amazing. And you know why? Because you quit listening to the enemy tell you who you are. You're starting to listen to who God says you are, which is amazing and incredible and righteous and holy and perfect. Yeah?
Yeah.
So you know what? Keep doing that. And thanks for inspiring me too, because I've been inspired by the toughness that you put, because you're in the prison system with guards that aren't Christians, that wardens aren't Christians, that you know, other inmates that aren't Christians, and you're still standing strong. Way to go. just way to go. Because when you're standing there with Jesus, I am going to be so happy for you. I'm going to be cheering you on. Won't we be?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to hear my voice, right? So anyway, we're going to get back into this next week, and so the lockdown verses are going to be past verse 26 in 1 Samuel 17. I think we're going to go a little bit further in this, or maybe it may change. We may go back a little bit and see some forefront of what happened before this.
Okay.
But anyway, we're going to turn it into something positive, and I'm thankful that one man stood up, and I'm thankful that you're standing up. Thanks for standing up, Kim.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yes?
Thanks for standing up, people.
Thanks for standing up. Okay, so see you next week, and God bless you all, and you know what? You're not the only one. There's other people around you.
Yeah.
Right? There's a remnant. Yes?
Yes.
All right. Stay out of trouble.